Today we're going to take a look at bridge survey profiles in ORD. So in ORD, I have created a brand new 2D file with our MoDOT seed file, and I referenced in the geometry created by survey, which is 3D geometry. So if I let my mouse rest over some of that background information, you can see that it is survey data. And I need to get that into my 2D file as a horizontal and vertical element. I've done that already with some of these items in here. So some of the crossings, I've already got those in here as 2D and 3D elements. So I have a horizontal and vertical for this stream crossing. Down there's the bridge, and then I've got the other stream crossings. So what I need to do is I still have one here that I need to turn into a horizontal and vertical element. So there's a tool that allows us to do this. We go up under the Open Roads Modeling workspace in the upper left and come down in here to Model Detailing. Under Model Detailing, there's some tools that allow us to work with 3D elements. One of those is underneath 3D elements pull down is Plan by 3D element. This tool will create plan elements based on a 3D element that is either referenced in or in the design file. But it will create a horizontal and vertical with just a single click. So let's try that out. Plan by 3D element. So I have this survey line that I want to bring in. That's a three-dimensional element. I'm going to go ahead and locate that and left click on it. And as soon as I left click on it, you'll see that it creates a white line out here in space. So it's created a 2D element. Now that is a white line, and I need it to be a MoDOT baseline proposed so that I can put my stationing on it. So I'm going to do a quick undo here, and we're going to go in and actually set that prior to using the tool. So you can see it, if you don't use any kind of feature definition, it's going to go with whatever the default settings are. So on my Home tab, I'm going to go over to Geometry, and I'm going to go down into the Standards, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on my feature definition toolbar. It's located right there. So I'm going to go ahead and expand that out. We're going to make this an alignment so I can put stationing on it. So I'll go with alignment here, and then you can make it an existing or proposed, whatever you want, just as long as it's one of these MoDOT baselines. I'll just go ahead and use proposed for now, and we'll go ahead and set that on. Over to the right, we can go ahead and have it annotate automatically, which is the A with the little arc underneath of it. That will automatically annotate it or put the stationing and tick marks on that element. Okay. So then once we've got that set, now let's try that again. Go back to the MoDOT, the model detailing. Go into the 3D elements. Go back to Plan by 3D element. And then you've got that dialog that pops up, and we can actually name this. So let's name this Hickory Creek. Okay, so that's the main stream there that goes under the bridge. So we'll hit enter on that. It's using the active feature, which we have set up here at the top. And then now let's go out and select that same element. And once you do that, now you have stationing. And that's the end station. So that should be upstream. And then the start is down here at the bottom. Okay, so that is how you create that, and if we take a look at the profile of that, you can actually just go to the element selection tool, hover over it, and you can see you got Hickory Creek. Go ahead and highlight that, get the heads up tool, open profile model, and you can go into one of the views down below and just left click inside that view. So now you've got Hickory Creek profile. Okay, so that profile has been created just with that tool. All of the other items I've already done that with, and went through that process to create that. Okay, so that's kind of your first few steps there. You're going to create the new 2D file, you're going to reference in your survey information, and then you're going to create plan and profile elements based on the 3D elements that survey sent you. Okay. Once you have that, you really have all you need to get started creating your profile sheets. So the way that we create our profile sheets is we have a thing called named boundaries. And that's again under the Open Roads Modeling workspace or workflow. And then we're going to go over to drawing production. And in drawing production, we've got the named boundary. So I'll go ahead and choose on that tool. This tool is very specific in how it works, and it wants you to select items. Okay, so at the top, this is where you can do a plan element, you can do other plan elements, civil plan elements, profiles, you can do a cross section here, and so forth. The one we're looking for is going to be civil profile. So we'll pick on that tool. First thing you want to do is select what kind of profile that you're looking for. We're just going to do full size, full plan. Okay, so D-size full plan, we'll pick on that. Our detail scale, it's whatever you want your scale to be for your sheets that you're going to create. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one at 20, just as an example. And then from that location, what you want to do is go out and actually select your profile now. So you've got your profile in there. We're going to go out and choose the profile. And as soon as you select that profile, it will fill out the dialog as far as the name of the profile that you're going to be working with. You can leave your name profile 1 up here at the top. Station limits is fine. It's going to create a new group for us. Our start and end and stop locations, if I want to do the whole thing, which I typically do on these, I will just hit this back button that will fill in the start location, and then this forward button, and it'll fill in at the end. Okay, the length will end up being determined by your start and stop locations, so you don't have to worry about that. Vertical exaggeration. Right now we're doing a 20 scale, so this needs to be 2. So it's basically, you're going to remove the 0 off of whatever your actual scale is. So if it was a 50 scale, you'd have 5 in here. If it was a 100 scale, you'd have 10. Your available profile height, this is the height from top to bottom of this. If you've got a pretty flat profile in here, you might be able to get away with something like 50 or 30 in there. We'll just put 50 for now. And then the rest of the clearances should be filled out okay. You can create the drawing down here at the bottom if you want. It will take you to the next step of creating that. And use the vertical and show the dialog. So we have everything turned on that we want. And then all we're going to do is come over here and accept that inside the drawing, and you'll see all the different ones that it's going to make. So if you have too many or too few, you can change your detail scale up here at the top. Okay. So if 20 scale is what you want, you'll have quite a few different profiles to work with here. You can left click again to say that's what you want, and then one more left click in there will actually draw in the plans, and it'll take you to your create drawing box. The create drawing is going to create the drawing for you with the sheets and the view models. So you want everything to be kind of left alone in here if you can. So your view name, and model name here, you pretty much want to leave those as they are in here. The scale, you want this to match the scale that you have in your main dialog, which is 1 to 20. Okay. Annotation group, if you want any kind of grid lines and elevations to be shown, then you're going to want to put on an annotation group in your drawing model. So we'll expand out profile, drawing model, and we've got a 20 scale here, so we'll go ahead and pick that. Okay, down below is your sheet model, so that's the one that's going to have the border on it and all that, so we don't really want to mess with this at all. You want to leave this the same. Just make sure your detail scale down here matches what you have over here on the left. So we've still got a 1 to 20, and it's getting that from the named boundary. Okay. Open model is going to open that sheet model when we're finished. So it looks like everything here is good. So we'll say okay to that, and it will go out and create those sheets for us. You can see the bar being filled in down here at the bottom. So it's going to go open those sheets. Okay, so it created those sheets and it opened some of them up. If you want to see what it created, come down here to the bottom. We've got all our different view groups here. You can highlight that up. You can see all the ones that it created. So you've got views, profile views. You've got these. This is your drawing models. And if you slide down, then you've got your sheet models. So your sheet models will have your border and title block information in there. And your drawing models look like this. Okay. Now, what I would like to do is create a sheet model that I can put some of these all in one. So you don't want to have, for most of your survey bridge profiles, you end up including a bunch of profiles on one sheet. And so in order to do that, we need to create a sheet to put those in. The way that I like to do this is to grab this first sheet that's down here and open that up. Okay, so this is the very first one. It's got the profile for the very first portion of that profile in there. They do come in yellow, so they are kind of hard to see, but there is the profile for that one. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to create a copy of this one. So I'm going to go back up to the Home tab. I'm going to take a look at the models that we have. So I'm going into the models area, and I can see that we've got this first one that we're in, Hickory Creek 1 profile sheet. I'm going to right click and copy that, and then I'm just going to name it in here. We're going to do several different ones of these, so I'm going to go ahead, instead of saying profile 1 in here, I'm going to call this Bridge Survey Sheet 1. Okay, and you can leave the sheet portion in there if you want, or you can get rid of it, but I'm going to get rid of that copy one. Okay. So now I've created another one. This is where I'm going to put as many profiles as I can in that sheet, and then once I'm done with that, where I leave off, I'm going to create another sheet and add more profiles to that. So let's take a look at doing all that. So I want to come down in here into my views, and I want to see if I can find the one I just created, Bridge Survey Sheet 1. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. Okay, it looks identical to the last one because it is. It's got this information in it. What I want to do is I want to move this profile to the top and bring in the next profile underneath. It's pretty simple to do if you have worked with MicroStation much. You're just going to go to the Home tab, go to your Attach Tools for References. And inside here you can see what's referenced. We've got the border file, and we've got the StreamBed Profile DGN. Now, the StreamBed Profile DGN has a bunch of different models in it. So what you can see here is it's bringing in that model Hickory Creek 1 Profile 1. And that's what that is down there. So if we want to move that up, I'm going to make sure I have AccuDraw on. If you don't know where AccuDraw is, it's on the Home tab under the Primary. And right here underneath the key ends, if you hold that down, you'll get to the Toggle AccuDraw. Okay, and that gets our AccuDraw up. So what I'm going to do is just going to move this up. So I'm going to right click on that StreamBed, or you can go from the Tools pull down. A lot of people like to use the Tools pull down. And I'm going to go to Move, and I'm just going to move this to the top. Okay, now that frees up some room down here at the bottom where I can bring in the next StreamBed profile. So at the bottom, if you look at the bottom of the reference dialog, I've got the StreamBed profile selected. You can see that it is at 240. 1 to 240 for the scale. So if I double click on this, you'll see that my detail scale is 1 to 20. The next reference file that I bring in, I'm going to want that same detail scale, so it's the same size. So we'll cancel that. Now you can do this with different scales and everything. You can bring in different scale drawings into the background. You just change that scale and it'll bring it in. So what I want to do next is I want to attach another file. So we're going to go to Tools, Attach. And I'm going to let that come up, and we're looking at attaching this same file. So we're still in this StreamBed profiles. So I'm going to attach this file again. The difference this time is that instead of bringing in my default, I'm going to go out and pick that second profile number 2, Hickory Creek 1, profile 2. Okay, so that's the model that it's going to bring in. My detail scale is going to be that 1 to 20. And that sets that 240 like we had just a minute ago. Another key element in this is to take a look at the nesting. We want live nesting on this, and it needs to at least be 2 to see the profiles come in. By default, this profile came in at 99 for our nest depth. I think we can get away with just putting a 2 in there. And once you have all that filled out, you can go ahead and say OK. And that will actually bring it in, but you'll have to possibly move it around. And then once that's in here, you can see you got another Streambred profile. It's Hickory Creek 1, profile 2, and we're going to do the same thing with that. We're just going to move that. So tools move on that one. And we're going to go down and move it to here, and then we'll move it down just a little further. Okay. Now we're going to end up moving these again here in just a minute because we're going to turn on the bridge survey background, and then we can move these things where we want them to go. We'll do one more here, and then I'll show you how to do that. So we'll do a tools attach. We're going to bring in one more profile here. So we'll go down to the Streambed profiles, and we'll say OK to that. And then the model that we want, instead of profile 2, we want profile 3. Okay, everything else, detail is good, live nesting stayed in there, so we can say OK. That'll be brought in here at this location. We'll see profile 3. We'll move that to this location and then down. Okay, so we have those 3 in here. Now, to be able to line them up how you would normally line them up with your bridge survey information, that is turned on inside of the border file itself. So our levels are here underneath the Open Roads Modeling Workflow under Primary, and then our levels display is right here. And I usually set this to Used for our filter. And then we're going to go take a look at the border. So see if you can find the border file here. Inside the border, there is several of the bridge survey information. Right now we have border turned on. That one you want to leave on. And then turn on your bridge survey information there. And then we'll come down here and see what else is on. The regular title block, we'll turn that off. Slide down through here. Now we've got more of these title blocks. Okay, so you can see down here at the bottom you've got your 2 title blocks, and then we would need to turn on the sections for doing your bridge survey, okay, for your section lines. Okay, so border, section, major, you can turn those on, and then at that point, once you have those turned on, some people like the minor ones as well, but you can go back into your Streambred profile, go out and move your profile to the right location. It's either there or you can put it over here. Change that to an intersection. You can move it around how you want. Okay, and then that will place that in there. Then you can turn off the grid work that comes with each one of these. So we can just move those around. Now, you probably know how to do all that stuff to move those around. It's just regular MicroStation type work. So what I would do next is I'll show you continued on and get in some of the other profiles, Streambed crossings. So we've got that one done for the Hickory. We're going to go out then and go back to our multi model views. So we'll come back in there. So that gets us back to our default with our profile that we had open. So what you would need to do then, that is just done for Hickory. So what we'd want to do next is we'd want to look at each one of these crossings. So inside of your default model, you want to open up the profile for that model in whatever window that you have open. So you have that, and then we want to take a look again at the named boundaries, because we're going to have to create named boundaries for this one now. This one's called downstream 1. So again, we don't have to do anything under the model detailing. I've already done that with these. If you hadn't done that, you'd have to do that for each one. But we're going to go to drawing production. If you haven't looked at the manager for this, there's a named boundary manager. We can take a look at that, and a lot of times you have to open that a second time to get that to show, but you can see it's got profile groups. So that's the ones that we've created so far, just under Hickory Creek. So we need to create a profile group for the other stream bed crossings we have. So we'll go into the name boundary again. And in this case, we've got our D-size full plan. We've got our 20 scale. It says Hickory Creek 1, so we want to come out and actually select the downstream 1 profile. That'll change it in there. Again, we'll do our start location and our stop location by clicking those buttons. Our vertical exaggeration should be the same. We can leave it at 50 if we want, or we can change it down a little lower. It'll change the heights of our grid. And then we'll let it create the drawings and everything. So we are good to go. We'll come out into the profile window and accept that. You have to accept it 3 different times. And then again, everything's good here. We'll leave the settings the same. We've got the 20 scale. We'll change our annotation group down here to the 20 scale so we get our grid work. And then everything else should be good in that section. So we can say OK, and it will go out and create the one for this. Okay. Barely see it there, but you can see it. Created that one. So if we wanted to create another sheet, that's probably how I would do this, but I'm going to go out and create each one of those stream beds. And once we're done with that, we'll copy it and create another sheet to put these on. Okay. So let's go back into our main window, multi-model views. Let's take a look at the next one that we want to do. Here's one for the upstream. We'll open up the profile model for that. That's upstream 2. So we'll go ahead and get our drawing production. We'll go to our named boundaries. Everything's good. We'll pick on our upstream 2. It'll change it there. We need to get our stations correct. And then everything else should be good. We'll accept 3 times in our profile window. And once we do that, we'll be able to create that sheet simply by changing our annotation group. Everything else should be pretty well set up. So we've got our 20 scale annotation group, and we'll say OK. And that will create the one for this. Okay, I'll just do those 2 for now. What I want to do now with each one of those is I want to take a look at the actual model that makes that sheet up. So if I come up in here to that upstream 2, we've got the sheet model it created, and we've also got the drawing model it created. So I'm going to go into that drawing model for upstream 2, and you'll see that we've got a lot more grid than we need. Okay, so you can use your regular MicroStation tools in here to take care of that. So if I go up into my drawing area, we can do a trim multiple. Pick our green line here, trim out that information. Okay, and then we can come out here and get rid of everything else in here. Anything else that's over on this side besides this white line out here, we'll try to plot into our drawing. So we're going to get rid of all that, delete that out, and then we'll just move this stuff over. See if I can grab all that. Just move that to here, slide over. Okay, got that on that location, and then so now we've moved all that information over. If I go back now to the sheet itself, you can see that it has made that change here. So I'm going to also do that to the downstream one that we have. So downstream profile view. Gonna do that same thing inside of here. We'll trim that out. We'll zoom that out. We'll delete that information and then move this information. Seems like a lot of steps, but really you could get stream bed profiles in less than an hour doing this. So we can have something like that. I'll go back and look at my downstream sheet view, and it's placed in there. Now what I'd probably do here is I'd go up into my models again, and this might be like the third or fourth sheet that we have in there, but I'm going to go to that downstream profile sheet, which we have here, and I'm going to copy that, and we're going to call that one downstream one bridge survey. You can actually just call this one maybe bridge survey sheet 3 or something, or maybe it's all Hickory Creek. And this is bridge survey sheet 4. Maybe that's all the way down to sheet 4. And then we can say okay to that, and we have that one in there. So just make sure that I am on that one, survey sheet 4. And then we'll do the same thing that we were doing in here. Is I like to copy this one just because this one's already in here, and I can take this stream bed and I can move it up to there. I can turn on all my levels to make sure I get them in the right spot. So I've got my border in here. I can leave the border on and turn on the bridge survey information. Turn off the main title block. And then you can take and move that. And wherever you need to move that to get that to be correct for you. You see it lines up there well, and I might need to move it over to the left a little on that one. There's my intersection snaps. Okay, so now we've got that one placed in there, and then it would just be a matter then of doing a tools attach. We can bring in that stream bed profile again. Say okay to there, and we're looking for that upstream profile. You don't want to bring the sheets in. You always want to bring the one that doesn't say sheet. But bring that in. It's got the 1 to 20 scale, live nesting of 2. Say okay to that. That will bring it in here. And then we can do the same thing. Locate it here. Tools move. So it's similar to probably what you've had to do in the past to try to get these to line up with your referencing. And I can intersection there. Now sometimes you will get the detail that shows up here. What I do with that, this is the goes along with the sheet that gets created. What I like to do with that one is just basically change the properties of it and turn it into a construction element, and then that disappears off there. And you're not messing with the sheet at all or anything like that. Okay. The information, fill it out. You would have to fill that out on this sheet itself. So you want to fill that information out here, and a lot of your text and notes could go in here. But that is how you can create a bridge survey profile sheet from the survey information that they give you.